Chuck accidentally gets superpowers from a deflect blast from Ace. And that's all I can really say about this episode. Nothing major happens, no big thing to talk about. Chuck's powers are temporary, so they don't really last that long. And when he does have them, all he does is try and win a football game from them. And that's really all I can say. There's nothing else to say about this episode. This is probably the definition of a filler episode. I know I said that before with another one, but this is definitely there's just nothing to it, unfortunately. I mean, even the football match it's not exactly the most exciting football match in the world. I'm probably gonna say this is definitely the weakest episode of the series because there's just nothing to it. I can't even mention a side thing to talk about because there's just nothing. I'm sorry, but that's it. The not so great outdoors episode, on the other hand, I thought I wasn't going to enjoy this episode as much this time around, but I've actually warmed up to it for one major reason. It actually focuses on Mark's dad. Now he's appeared on other episodes in the series, but this is the first time where he's actually more of a focused character, and it's one of those, where the main character appreciates their parents type episode, and they're always going to be heartwarming, aren't they? And another thing two things I just want to say. The fact that it's in a completely different location away from normally all the other episodes usually take place at Mark's house, the carnival, or at the school. Well, this time it takes place in the woods. And yeah, refreshing it's just a nice refreshing location. And also at the end, during the third act of the episode, Pig-faced Dirty Rat appear in the forest, and it's dark with um, moving lights all over the place. I wouldn't be surprised if it was inspired by the Blair Witch Project, because the cinematography, the direction of cinematography it does bring a creepy. It is very creepy how they do it. Like, it's the best way to describe it. It's like one of those found footage horror films. Well, maybe not to that extreme, but it definitely has that. Yeah, that vibe to it. So, but also Sparks comes back in this episode, and yeah, in The Biggest Fan, Chuck organises a Ace Lightning fan club, and Lord Fear wants to wreck it because it's all about Ace Lightning and it's nothing about Lord Fear, which he gets jealous of, obviously. But let's be honest, if something like this happened in real life, Lord Fear would be popular because we all love the villains. And the one thing I've got to say about this episode, it's I feel so envious when I watch this one because, as you know, the whole reason why I'm doing this series, the whole reason why I made the files to begin with, is because the show is overlooked, underrated. It's been forgotten about more or less. But in this episode, it's treated like it's one of the biggest things ever, with a whole fan club. And before I carry on with that, because it's probably going to be a slight rant, but well, not a rant, but anyway, this is another Chuck focus episode, but a bit better than the Unlikely Hero episode because he gets a lot of adorable moments. He has a pretty heartwarming moment with the coach being an Ace Lightning fan, or an ALF as they call themselves. By the way, real life Ace Lightning fans have actually called themselves ALFs. I'm just going to point that out because, of course, we are. And he meets a girl called Jessica who's also a huge Lightning fan, and it's kind of sweet for him to relate to someone who's got his similar interests, because you know what, Chuck deserves a win for once. But going back to the whole, oh my god, the at one point we see a bunch of Ace Lightning products like board games, magazines, t-shirt and t-shirts. None of this stuff, as far as I can tell, existed in real life. Um, we had a few toys, and of course we had the game, but and a few books, but nothing that this episode shows. I know it was all made just for this episode. It's all fake. It's all fake props, but it just, especially if you're a fan watching this, you just get so you just want to go, why isn't this real? And another thing, there's a music box that has Dirty Rat. I, I'm just thinking, where's this stuff now? I'm always fascinated by what happens to old TV and film props when they're no longer used. I know some of them get sold online, but in a show like this, there's no way they're being sold online. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah. Last thing I've got to say is the logo on some of the t-shirts look nothing like how the logo looks in for the show itself. So I can only assume that was probably a original design. That like this was like a concept design for the logo, and maybe the in-universe reason is Ace Lightning's a franchise that's been around for a long time, and that was the original logo. So yeah, a bit of an kind of goes into a bit of the lore there. If yeah, but yeah, the biggest fan. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a fan favorite episode, just because it was made for fans.